It started with a rock, a single, heavy stone wedged under the big door that led into the shared hallway of our fourplex. It might have looked harmless, like the casual selfishness that disguises itself as normal until it doesn't. That rock held open more than just a door. It cracked open weeks of frustration, the unraveling of comfort, and the terrifying realization that I no longer felt safe in my own home. And when I bent down to remove it, just one ordinary moment, one practical decision to shut out the 90-degree heat and the swarm of wasps buzzing in from the outside, the woman across the hall caught me. She didn't ask. She didn't discuss. She told me, we want it open. Not because of airflow, not because of safety, but because they didn't want to turn on the hallway light. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about a door. This was about control, about entitlement, about the quiet ways people make others feel small in spaces they're supposed to call home. I live upstairs in a fourplex. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. A small slice of space shared with my fiancé, and until recently, it felt like a safe haven. We've always shared the building with neighbors. We don't expect luxury, just respect, courtesy, boundaries. But then the new couple moved in across the hall. I wish I could say it was a gradual descent, that there was a slow unraveling of neighborly rapport. But from the moment they arrived, it was chaos wrapped in casual cruelty. They locked their dog on our shared patio. Not for a few minutes, not during the occasional errand, but constantly. Day and night, the poor thing was left there alone. No walks, no attention, just pacing back and forth across the patio, defecating, urinating, stewing in its own waste. The smell seeped into the air. The heat baked it into the concrete. And they didn't seem to care. We tried to tolerate it. We told ourselves it was temporary, that maybe they were stressed from moving, that people deserved grace. But then they started taking things, like the patio chair I'd been using. One day it was mine. The next, I found it rearranged as part of their conversation corner, nestled among their decorations, their furniture, their version of home that suddenly swallowed all the common space. They didn't ask. They didn't even acknowledge us. The patio became theirs, a visual declaration that we no longer mattered. My fiancé and I stopped using it. What was once a shared area turned into something we tiptoed past. It felt like trespassing, to sit where we used to relax. One afternoon, as I struggled to carry groceries inside, the woman across the hall shouted at me. "Move faster," she barked. As if my pace through the hallway was an inconvenience to her existence. As if I didn't belong. It caught me off guard. Not just the words, but the venom. The sense that she believed she had the right to dictate my movements. Still, I tried to let it go. I wanted peace more than pride. I didn't want to escalate a war with people I had to see every day. But then came the door. Our big exterior door is there for a reason. It keeps the building cool in summer, warm in winter. It keeps bugs out, keeps the hallway safe. And it was always closed, until they started jamming it open with that rock. At first, I figured they were moving furniture, maybe waiting on someone. But it kept happening. Open door, rock in place, heat streaming in, wasps exploring the hallway like it was a meadow. I started quietly closing it again. Thought maybe it was just forgetfulness. But no, they noticed. And when she saw me do it, she didn't just express a preference. She told me they wanted it open, so they wouldn't have to turn on the hallway light. It was baffling, infuriating. A single bulb in the ceiling, barely noticeable on the electric bill, suddenly more important than security, comfort, or safety. But worse than the logic was the entitlement. The way they spoke like they owned the space, like their convenience trumped everyone else's right to feel at ease. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just kept closing the door. And now, every time I reach for the handle, my hands shake. Because it's not just about the door. It's the feeling that no matter how small my request, it will be met with resistance, hostility, rage. They make me feel insane. Like I'm the one who's overreacting. Like wanting to keep a door closed in 90-degree heat is some kind of character flaw. Like wanting to sit on a patio I pay for is a moral failure. I've tried to go through the right channels, but our building has been bought and sold multiple times in just a few months. 4 owners in a short span, all discovering the same hidden plumbing issues and ducking responsibility as fast as they can. There's no stable management to enforce the rules, no one to help. I've started documenting everything. Photos of the rock, the open door, the mess on the patio, the way the wasps now hover in the entryway like they pay rent. It feels petty. It feels like I'm building a case for a trial I never asked to be a part of. But what else can I do? I'm scared to confront them. I'm 5'3", disabled, and vulnerable. And they're, well, intimidating. Not just in size, but in energy, in unpredictability. I don't want a confrontation. I don't want violence. I just want peace. I've thought about the dog more times than I can count. I love animals. It breaks my heart to see it out there, panting in the heat, its paws pressed against the patio gate like it's hoping someone will notice. I've considered calling animal control, but our shelters are overcrowded. And I know the statistics. A pit bull, alone, surrendered in poor conditions? That's a death sentence. So I hesitate. I worry. I watch. And I feel the weight of powerlessness settle deeper with every passing day. We used to laugh on the patio. We used to cook outside, sip drinks, watch the sunset. Now I shut the blinds. I avoid eye contact. I retreat. And every time I close that door, I wonder, how much longer until they decide that's the final straw? So, am I the asshole? For trying to keep the bugs out? For wanting to feel like I live in a home and not a hostage situation? For refusing to yield space to people who never once showed us basic respect? For believing that being quiet doesn't mean being invisible? For daring to push back, softly, silently, consistently, against the slow erosion of my peace? Because lately, I can't tell. I'm tired of second-guessing myself. I'm tired of wondering if common courtesy still counts when the other person doesn't believe in it. I'm tired of feeling like I have to justify closing a door. But more than anything, I'm tired of feeling unsafe in the one place I should be able to breathe. So I'll ask you, honestly, vulnerably, with nothing but the truth, am I the asshole? This story is more than a neighbor dispute. It's about the quiet battles we fight when we're backed into corners by people who don't believe in boundaries. It's about the way entitlement can wear 1,000 faces, sometimes smiling, sometimes shouting, but always pushing. It's about that creeping sensation we all know too well, the feeling of questioning our own reality when someone else insists that their comfort is more important than our peace. And it's about courage, the quiet kind, because you don't have to yell to stand up for yourself. Sometimes, courage is bending down to move a rock, knowing someone might catch you, knowing they'll be angry, but doing it anyway, because you matter. Your space matters. Your safety matters. Your voice, even when it's just the click of a closing door, matters. So if you've ever felt like the villain in your own story just for asking for decency, you're not alone. Let us know in the comments. What would you do if you were in this situation? Would you keep closing the door? Would you fight for your right to feel at home? Or would you move on just to find peace? Comment 777 if you've ever had a neighbor like this, and tell us how you handled it. This is AITA Stories, and every voice counts.